pledge makers, welcome to the Amanda Hill Show. This is your home of personal development. This is where you get the techniques and the tips and the tools geared toward your better future, geared toward your success and your happiness. Now, on the last show, we discussed goal setting and the 7 major steps to goal setting. The first being to decide. If you don't know what you want, then you will not know what you need to get there. The second is to write your goals down to the very details. Next, you have to tell someone so that they can keep you accountable. You also want to break your goals down into doable action steps and also plan that very first step so that you know the direction that you want to take. And also keep going. Persistence is key. I stressed that so much in our last show. And lastly, celebrate. You have to celebrate your successes. Celebrate those small successes toward your major goals and your major successes. Now, I want to speak to you about the parents of persistence. How do you keep going when times get tough? How do you keep going when life throws you challenges, when you find yourself at roadblocks and at dead ends on your journey to success and happiness and to ultimately taking charge of your destiny? How do you find will and willpower? This journey aims to shape and mold. It is one upon a steep, slippery uphill. Life's weather changes warm to cold. Carry on. Summon the willpower and will. There's but one thing which is gifted to each and every one of us at the moment of birth, which is also the single most connecting force between all human beings, and that is the power of will. Mix that with massive motivation and willpower is formed. These two are the driving force behind any success, fulfillment, and happiness. Be one void of it, and one falls to failure. Will and willpower, though they be innate, are not found within by all, and are not used by all. These two mental facets are also mental muscles that, if not targeted and used, will cause one to remain weak and powerless. They play a major role in securing one's purpose and in the fulfilling of one's destiny. It often takes an obstacle, a roadblock, or a dead end on the journey to our dreams and desires for us to realize our potential will and willpower. Needless to say that failing is a part of the formula to finding and practicing both will and willpower. Let me say that again. Failing is a part of the formula to finding and practicing both will and willpower. Now, let's touch on finding will. Is anybody looking for will out there? Will, where are you? Some of us need you. Some of us are looking for you. I think I've found you. Have you found will? Well, will needs friction to survive. In other words, it requires an opposing force. That opposing force tends to come in the form of the possibility of failure. An athlete has a will to win because there's a possibility of losing. A health-conscious individual has the will to stick to his or her nutrition plan because there's a possibility of gaining weight or being unfit. And a success-driven person has a will to keep going despite failing because the possibility of failure is clear at any sign of complacency. Therefore, will is a pushing force against an equally pushing but negative force. In other words, will is used to counter something which one does not want or does not want to happen. Yet, what is will really, and how does one find it? It is a choice to be determined and unrelenting despite a predetermined circumstance. In other words, your circumstances do not define you. Finding will is as simple as deciding to choose rather than deciding to accept. It is not easy, but it is simple. Often we're dealt cards in life that seem hard to play. Will, however, says, I choose to use what has been dealt to me, or I choose to be resourceful despite my apparent lack in resources, or even better, I choose to rewrite the cards which have been dealt to me by designing my own destiny. Therefore, finding will comes down to a persistent, and I say persistent, effort in deciding to choose that which equivalates your freedom, our freedom, rather than settling in your misery or our misery. This is what fuels our destiny. In doing so, we are in fact taking charge of our destiny. Alright, now that we've gone looking for will, who's ready for some willpower? We all need some willpower. Without will, there's no willpower. Let's get that bottom line down very clearly. Without will, there is no willpower. Will is the choice, whereas willpower is the driving force behind that choice. Finding willpower first requires establishing your will and then finding what motivates you. Motivation and willpower are best of friends. Without one, the other is obsolete. What is your desired outcome? Why are you doing what you do? How will you reach your destination? Answer those three powerful questions as clearly and concisely as possible, and willpower will come knocking on your front door. I guarantee it. Willpower will come pounding at your front door. The most important question of the three is why? What is the number one reason behind your actions? Is it financial freedom? That you want more time with your family? Or that you perhaps just want to be of service to others? Even better. Whatever the reason is, find it, and you will find the motivation to feed your willpower. Now, finding willpower also comes down to having a vision. The clearer the vision, the stronger the willpower. Where do you see yourself 5 or 10 years from now? What house do you live in? What car do you drive? Whom are you surrounded by? What have you achieved? Close your eyes and visualize who you are. Visualize where you are. Visualize what you want to be. Visualize all the things that you have achieved. Visualize everything that you want to happen in your life. Visualize the time freedom, the financial freedom, having time with your family. Studies have shown that our thoughts and mental imagery do affect our actions. So the more we visualize is the more our brains compel us to carry out the actions which will make our thoughts a reality. When we have a clear vision of our lives, then executing the willpower to carry on becomes a whole lot easier. And guess what? It also puts failure to a standstill. Hey there, I am so thrilled that we got to have this conversation today. You know, will and willpower are necessary to fuel you, the vehicle to your destiny. Decide to choose a life that you have designed for yourself, rather than one that has been seemingly carved out for you. Then you have found will. Be consistent and persistent in that decision, and you've easily found willpower. With those two in your purse or under your belt, you're well on your way to forfeiting failure and taking charge of your destiny. Be sure to subscribe so that we can keep in touch. Peace, love, prosperity, and remember, take charge of your destiny. Bye-bye.